Good morning, Independence. It is 96 days to Super Tuesday. And apparently the YouTube algorithm has been at work, because I've heard from several people now who are not even subscribed to the channel saying that my videos are just appearing in their feed. So that's good. I've heard that from my mom. She still lives in northern Minnesota and logs onto her work computer, and she doesn't have a YouTube account. She just goes onto YouTube, and she said that my videos show up every day, so that's great. And I also had a friend of mine who lives just north of San Francisco, and he's been watching some of the videos, and he said that the other day when he turned on his TV, he must have Apple TV, went into YouTube, and boom, there I was, and he sent me a screenshot. So that was pretty cool. Apparently I'm on your TV now, and that's great, because I want everyone in the district to be, if I make it to office, I want everyone in the district to be like, oh yeah, my rep in Washington, D.C. is Independent Joe. Even if you forget my last name, Sweeney, that's okay. Just remember that Independent Joe is your guy. And except when you're voting, just make sure that you remember my last name is Sweeney. So far, there's no other Joes in the race, and I don't think there will be, but you never know. So just remember Joe Sweeney on the ballot. Independent Joe any other time is perfectly fine. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm trying to let people get to know me. I'm also obviously trying to create a new kind of brand, Independent Joe, with the red and blue cuff shirts. I've had quite a few people ask me about these, and yes, I made them myself. I went out and bought a sewing machine. I'll show it to you one of these days, and looked up on YouTube how to sew. I cut everything out and sewed it on the machine. And they're not great, but I'm getting a little bit better. I've only made a few of them, and it was funny because the very first one I made, I had the sleeves backwards. So I'm deliberately trying to put right is red, right? Because right, Republican, red, and then the left should be blue, because left, Democrat, blue. And so if you watch a couple of the videos, I am wearing shirts where they're backwards. And I also made a long sleeve shirt, and I put them on backwards as well. And it was funny because I bought the fabric at Joann's Fabrics, and then I bought these original t-shirts just at Target. And the first time I did it, I cut it out, sewed it on, and then I washed it, and it was a white t-shirt. And the red fabric bled, and so it ruined the whole shirt. So then I realized that I needed to wash the fabrics before I cut them out and sew them on. And then I did it, and then I put it in the dryer. I washed it and put it in the dryer, and the fabrics didn't bleed. But then the t-shirts actually shrink because they're a stretchier material than the fabric does. And so the sleeves were still like really wide, because the fabric on the sleeves doesn't let the sleeve shrink down. So it looked like I had like two parachutes, around my sleeves. And so I had to tailor the sleeves myself. So now I get the fabric, I wash the fabric, I wash the t-shirts and dry the t-shirts, and then everything is the size that it should be, and it doesn't bleed. So I'm figuring it out. And for the campaign, I will be making some of these t-shirts as like the campaign t-shirts. I might or might not make t-shirts that say, Independent Joe Sweeney 2024, but that's the normal kind of t-shirt that all the politicians make, and people don't like to wear those things anyways. So I thought it would be cooler if I made white and black t-shirts, men and women, that have these cuffs on them, and it's more subtle. It's just saying, I'm an independent voter, I think for myself, and I don't need to say like who I'm voting for. I don't need to have my candidate on the shirt when I walk around, but anyone who sees another person with this shirt on will know what it means. So it's kind of like, it's like a secret handshake. You're walking down the street, you see another person with the shirt on, just give them a little tip of the hat, give them the peace sign, whatever works for you. And another question that's come up a lot when I've been out talking to people is, do you really think you can win? Because people are concerned that, if I vote for a third party candidate, an independent, then the party that I really don't want to get in, I'm essentially just throwing my vote away. That's always the argument for don't vote for a third party candidate. So here's the breakdown in Contra Costa County. And keep in mind that District 10 is not just Contra Costa, it's most of Contra Costa and a little sliver of Alameda County, but the breakdown between the parties is going to still be pretty similar. So here's the breakdown currently for Contra Costa. About 700,000 registered voters, 380,000 registered Democrats, 130,000 registered Republicans, 190,000 independents. That was actually surprising to me. There are a lot of people who choose not to be part of either party already. So on March 5th, the top two will make it to the general election and will be running head-to-head on the ballot. Only those two. And potentially a write-in candidate if someone wants to be a write-in candidate, but that's not going to affect the map that much. So let's just say that the incumbent Democrat and myself are the two that make it through the March 5th primary and are going to be on the ballot next November. If I can pull all 130,000 Republicans, all 190,000 independents, that's 320,000 to the 380,000 registered Democrats. If I'm able to pull 30,000 of those registered Democrats, that brings me up to 350 and him down to 350, and we're dead even. I'm not running just to pull 30,000 of those registered Democrats. I'm running to pull 100,000 or 150,000 of those registered Democrats because I think that's how people feel right now. They're looking for someone who is going to stand up to the entire establishment, to both parties, and to send a message to say, we're not happy with the way things are going, so we're going to do something that shakes it up. That's what I'm running for. So the answer is yes, I am 100% certain that I can win this election. And I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I could. I'm not running just to try to send a message or to get some kind of issue out there. I'm running to beat the incumbent and to change the system and to show that this can be done and to spread the movement to get more independents into Congress to fix the way that legislation is drafted in Washington, D.C. So that's why I'm running, and I'll be back out in the district today, and I'll talk to you again in a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, you were expecting Joe on the go? Nope, keeping you on your toes today. This is actually Joe on the sew. Let me show you my sewing machine. Trusty old Singer that I got off Amazon. I'll actually give you a little tour here of the machine. I used to have this on my dining room table, but it's taking up too much room and making too much of a mess out there. So brought it into here. Put the power on. And this is the little knob that makes the needle go up and down if you need to grab the thread from the bobbin or just move it up so you can move your fabric back and forth. We have the different types of stitches here, different stitch patterns. Up here we have the length of the stitch. And then up on the top, we have the width of the stitch. And needle position, you move it left or right. And then of course the spool of thread, which gets weaved around the top here, down, and then actually goes back up and around this little guy, and then back down. There's a little guide under here you feed it through, and then straight through the needle. And under here is the bobbin that goes underneath the little platform in here. So I was sewing on my black shirts, I was altering the sleeves a little bit. So that's why I black threaded down here, then black thread up in the spool. This is the little, where you put the little bobbin on to wind it. Then of course when I'm sewing my red and blue, I've got a spool of red thread, blue thread, white thread, and then of course the red and blue bobbins for when I'm making the red sleeves and the blue sleeves. And then I have a couple of extra pieces up here. And here's the fabrics, my blue fabric. I have two reds because the first time when I was made my first white t-shirt, the red fabric bled, and so I thought that maybe if I got a different fabric that would help, but then I realized I just need to wash the fabrics before I put them together with the white shirt, and problem solved. And tested a few different types of shirts, and I found some good ones that I'm going to use for the campaign shirts. Yeah, this guy here. They're really nice and soft and a little bit stretchy and have a good cut. A lot of times when you get t-shirts, the sleeves are too gigantic, and these sleeves are nice. I think this is the men's version, and then this is the women's version for the white, and then the men's version for the black, and the women's version for the black. So the coming weeks, or probably sometime after the new year, I will start making those. And that is the Joe on the Sew setup. Surprise! Welcome to the Evening Joe. This was actually a very easy transition from Joe on the Sew, which is just down the hallway, to the Evening Joe here in my living room. Today I'm just going to answer a couple of questions that came up. One was actually when I was talking to a small group of people at a coffee shop this evening, and then another one actually came in via email. So the first, I guess, viewer submitted question. So question number one, I just introduced myself to a group of 4 people at a coffee shop in Danville today, told them I was running as an independent, and the question that one of the guys asked was, have I run for office before? And the answer to that is no, I've never run for a public office. I just told them that I felt compelled to run now because our country is in decline and somebody has to try to do something different to fix the system. So that was why I was running as an independent. And it came up that one of the people in the group was actually registered as an independent. And then the guy who had asked me if I had run for office before said that he was registered with a party, but that was a long time ago and he thought that he had to pick one of the 2 parties. And so he doesn't really associate with that party. That's just usually how he leans in most elections. And so I think what I should do is have a tutorial sometime. I can go on to the Contra Costa or Alameda County registrar's websites and show people how to undeclare their party. And that actually reminded me of these mugs that I had made, which is the very first campaign, I guess, merchandise. And I haven't put them up on the website yet, but I probably will sometime in December. I designed these. It says, I used to be a party animal, now I'm an independent voter. And right now, as I explained the math this morning, there are 190,000 undeclared voters registered in Contra Costa County. And that was surprising to me. That's a very big number. And I think a lot of people just are sort of affiliated with the party, but they're increasingly becoming aware that neither party adequately represents who they are anymore. And in my opinion, unless a political party holds at least 80 or 90% of the values and the beliefs that you hold, there's no reason why you should just blindly give your allegiance to them anymore. One thing that I've come across while talking to people is they'll say that they're generally fiscally conservative, but socially liberal. And if that's the case, why not just declare yourself an independent, and then you can choose candidates on an issue by issue, appointment or seat by seat basis instead. That's how I prefer to do it. So maybe I should make it my goal to increase the number of independent registered voters from 190,000 up to 290,000 or 390,000. That would be pretty cool if we could get that number to start increasing, and then the number of registered Democrats and Republicans to both decrease. That would for sure send a message to the 2-party system. And to be honest, we're kind of getting up there in age, most of us now. And do you really want to still be a party animal? I mean, do you want to show your face at family dinners and talk to friends and they know that you're one of these party animals? Why not just declare yourself a more sophisticated independent voter who uses their independence and intellect to pick candidates based on what they stand for instead of what party they belong to? So that's my pitch. And then the second question that came in from a viewer of the show was, easy question, what brand of coffee are you drinking? And the answer to that is, it depends every time I go to the store and what store I go to. Sometimes I'll buy the Costco brand, sometimes I'll buy whatever's at Safeway, so Peerless, sometimes I'll buy Starbucks or Peet's. But actually what I have in here right now was coffee that was given to me by a friend. His wife is originally from Germany, and they gave me a bag of coffee from Bremen, Germany. That's what I have in here. It's almost gone though, so I will need to go shopping again very soon. But honestly, I'm not picky with my coffee. I am totally content drinking gas station coffee if I need to, or McDonald's. It's really not so bad. I just like to have a warm drink in my hand. That's, I think, matters more than the flavor of the coffee. But every once in a while, especially during the holiday season now too, most of the time I'll drink my coffee black, but sometimes I'll put a little bit of creamer in it. And in my refrigerator, I do have some kind of like caramel apple holiday creamer, and I'll just put a splash of that in it because it's the holiday season. So those are 2 questions answered tonight on the Evening Joe. That's it. I'll see you in the morning.